Bible Doctrine 4, Lecture 20. That's okay, welcome. Come on in with a bang. Boom, and we're on page 2 at the bottom of the tribulation. Here's an overview of the judgments and the tribulation. Now, there's a lot of red in here. And I do want you to know which judgment set the things go with. So this first section, you can see seal judgments. You don't have to know all that, thank me later, but I do want you to know like that 1/4 of the world's population dies in this seal judgment time, which is, I'm pretty firm on this in my belief that this is the first 3.5 years section. This isn't the second 3.5 years. And I'll say this again, but if you follow Revelation in chronological order, and even if you don't, but if you do that, it's hard to get away from it being in the first 3.5 years, at least for the seal judgments, and I think even more. So here we go. The 7 seal judgments, starting in Revelation 6. I'm going to read one and someone read the next, and go back and forth on this. First is, there's a white horse, and the rider went out conquering and to conquer.
The red horse is the second one. Rider took peace from the earth with a great sword.
Third seal opens, black horse, rider had a pair of scales, quart of wheat for a day's wage. So the author says here, famine, an economic collapse. I'm just adding some things.
Fourth, pale horse, rider was death and Hades. 1/4 of the world's population dies from war, famine, disease, and beasts of field. Okay,
so how many people might that be? Let's just figure that in the rapture there's 1 billion people that go. Okay, including kids. Including kids. So it's 1 billion. So what's left? 6 billion. So what's 1/4 of 6 billion? Well, 4 goes into 6 how many times?
1.5.
Okay, 1.5 billion people die. 1,500 million people die. Amazing. So that's huge. Fifth, view of those who had been martyred for their faith in Jesus, now asking for God to judge the world. And they're up in heaven, of course.
Sixth, great earthquake, sun blackened, every mountain and island moved. The wrath of the Lamb has come.
All right. That sounds like a lovely time. So if you're thinking that there's a mid-trib rapture, a pre-wrath rapture, so you look at this, or even post-trib, and you're saying, this is horrible. Will I be one of those? Will I be experiencing these things? Or I'll just be protected by a bubble, special bubble? And I think to some degree, well, 144,000 will be, well, let's just not go there right now. There's going to be some protection for saved folks. Of course, if you're saved, you're going to have God's will potentially being done for you. But I think most Christians, saved folk, will die during the tribulation. Thank you. All right. My statement. Seventh, silence in heaven for half an hour. 7 angels given the 7 trumpets. So 6 seals, 6 judgment sets, and the 7th is the next round, which are trumpet judgments. So know about the great earthquake, sun blackened, and the 1/4 of the world's population dies. And the seal judgments, that's your first set, which I believe begins soon after the rapture, right away. It's horrible things. The 7 trumpet judgments, and I'll just read these because it's pretty short. And you say, there's so many. Well, just know, 1/3. The 1/3 stuff goes in the trumpet judgments. 1/3 of all the trees, and actually all grass is burned up. I think it's not 1/3 of the grass, but all grass is burned up.
Wow.
1/3 of the seas are struck, so they're you can't be in them. Not sure what it is. I don't think it's blood. I don't remember now. But they're struck with a plague. 1/3 of the fresh water is struck, so you can't drink it. You go in it. 1/3 of the sun and moon affected to not give light. Some believe it's 1/3 of the day. It's that way. Locusts from the bottomless pit torment man for 5 months. Well, that's a lovely time. 4 angels from the Euphrates released to prepare a way for 1/3 of mankind to be killed. Kingdoms of this world shall become the kingdom of our God. Trumpet unleashes the 7 bowls of wrath. So then there's the bowl or vial judgments after that. Now, so in this section of time, some will argue, well, this is the after the midpoint. And I'm not prepared right now to defend that, but in my understanding it's not. And going through the chapters, you don't come to the midpoint until, I think it's Revelation 13 or so. I have to check that. It's coming up. We'll see that. So, if you're going chronologically, for the most part, we're not anywhere near Revelation 13 yet. There's some reviews. There's a half chapter or a chapter that reviews kind of or looks forward to things. And now we have the 7 vial judgments, the bowl judgments. Now this, I believe, is in the second half, the last half. First is foul and loathsome sores on those who took the mark. The second vial judgment, the sea turns to blood and everything in the sea dies. Oh, that's lovely. The third, rivers and springs of water turn to blood. Well, what happened in the 7 trumpets? It wasn't all of it. It was a third. Now it's all of it. There's no water left, potentially. At least in the seas. Now, there's underground waters, and I'm not sure how that works. And if you got, and also if you have the rivers and springs of water turn to blood.
Salt water and fresh water. It's all.
Yeah, so maybe they manufacture water after that, or Sam's Club has a lot of water. Fourth, the sun allowed to scorch men with fire. Incredible heat, maybe even fire. Fifth, the kingdom of Antichrist is full of darkness where they, what does it say in the Bible? It says they gnaw their tongues because of the darkness. And sixth, the river Euphrates dried up to prepare a way for Armageddon armies. And seventh, it is done. And there's a massive global earthquake and falling meteors, he says. Mountains not found anymore, islands have fled away. The whole landscape of the earth changes. Well, that doesn't sound that bad. Well, following Revelation, again, in a chronological order, one will surmise, I believe, that the 7 seal judgments and the 7 trumpet judgments, and then there's these 7 thunder judgments that I didn't mention here, are all happening in that first half of the tribulation, if you look at how the chapters go. But even if it was just the 7 seals, that sounds horrid. Economic collapse, there's wars, peace is taken away, probably a universal army. That seal judgments you see, then there's a lot of martyred saints. And when the 5th one's open, they're in heaven crying for God's vengeance to pour out in judgment. A lot of martyred saints during that time, and then there's this great earthquake. Of course, we have 1/4 of the world's population dying. And silence in heaven. There's never silence in heaven. For half an hour. Interesting. So it's bad. Now, you say, well, good. Are we done with the tribulation time? No, that was just the overview. We're going to get into it a little bit more here. We're going to basically see what the Bible says on these. And it took a while to put all this together. This was a hard lecture to put in. 1, time-wise to do it. 2, to make it so I cover it reasonably well, but not have it be 30 pages long. So here we go with the 7 seals. I will read a section. No, let's not do it that way. I will read 2 or 3 verses. You read 2 or 3 verses. So we'll probably go back and forth on this. So let's learn about these 7 seals. 6:1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, and one of the 4 beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow. And a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering, and to conquer. And when he had opened the 2nd seal, I heard the 2nd beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. I went too far, sorry. And there was given unto him a great sword. I'll stop.
And when he had opened the 3rd seal, I heard the 3rd beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
Anything that stands out to you in that first section, real quick? This last part is economic collapse, and the staple items are very, very expensive. Whole day's wage for a little bit of wheat, but the luxury items are okay. Right. 7 now. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Yikes! Yeah, someone go to 9 to 11.
And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled.
This last part sounds like a lot of Christian folks, believers, are being martyred. Anything else in there that just stands out to you? I mean, it all stands out, but you just have to make a comment on it?
It's interesting, they don't have their resurrected body yet, though. So that's what they're wanting.
Oh, good, yeah.
And, I mean, I guess we'll have ours if we're in the rapture, but they have to wait to be resurrected too.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
Apparently. I mean, that's what I believe. That it's one of those... What about the millennial guys and the tribulation times? What happens with them? But it appears that way, yeah. And then we go on to finish up these seals, 12. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places.
And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid himself in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of the wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
Now, I have to tell you, 12 on here sounds like it's the end of the tribulation. And so I would say this needs further study. I mean, I've studied it further before, but it does sound that way. But as you go chronologically, at least, and how the progression of these go, because the seventh seal is what? Is the opening of the seven trumpet. It's the trumpet seals now, or the trumpet judgments. So if the sixth seal was in the tribulation, then that backs everything up, or pushes everything to right there at the very end. All these other things that have to happen, it can't be. Unless they can be going simultaneously. But you can't open the seventh seal until the sixth seal gets opened. And the trumpets don't come. And so it really can't be, unless we're totally missing something. Maybe one of the online students said, yeah, you're totally missing it. Because I read a book once that tells us all about it. Well, don't tell me. We'll just keep studying ourselves. So, if this is, which I believe, the sixth seal, and it's still in the first half of the tribulation, what is going on here? Well, I can understand a quarter of the Earth's population dying, I mean, barely. But this is pretty bizarre. Stars of heaven falling. Heaven departs and it's a scroll like it's rolled together. Mountains and the islands are moved out of their places. Great cosmic disturbances indeed. Let's invest a little bit more in NASA, maybe. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is just the heaven, just the atmosphere above us, right? I mean, it's not obviously heaven.
Third heaven, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So,
third heaven.
I mean, it could be even satellites per se, or just stuff in our area. Obviously, not all the stars can fit on the Earth. There's too many stars.
All right.
So it's got to be just limited. It's not all of the stars.
you could
It would
say.
be impossible.
No, not all of them are going to land on the earth. I agree with that. But potentially the whole heavens is changed or shaken, and then only some are going to hit the earth. But we have asteroids come by, slam into us, and we've had these scares, and it's mathematical formulas trying to figure out when the next big comet or asteroid is going to hit us. I think it's 2012, according to the Mayan calendar. And Grant Jeffries, and Tim LaHaye, and Hal Lindsey.
It could be God judging us, though, with all of our satellites that are so high tech, and He's just like, you guys.
All the satellites go down. Those are pretty puny, though.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to be hit by one.
No. It's like stay inside your house while the satellites fall.
Yeah.
What stands out to me is verse 16. Hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. They know these things are coming from God.
Yeah.
They have read their Bible, obviously.
Yeah.
So they finally figured it out, but still don't want to get saved.
Yeah.
That they know these judgments are of God, but they're like, mountains, rocks, hide us.
Yeah. And again, this sounds like it could be the very end where Jesus Christ is coming back. So that's why I say this section, study out more. It doesn't mean, well, you're wrong and everything you believe is wrong then. No, but this could be wrong on this. But logically speaking and chronologically speaking and just normal scriptural sense and hermeneutical practice, I don't think we're wrong. But wow, if this is during the first half, this is cosmic, man. This is cosmic. Let's go on to the 144,000 witnesses. And each point here, definitely this point, you can spend some time going in the Bible and learning about it. This is limited because of our time. So I got this all mixed up. Hold on a second. Okay. There are 12,000 Jews from each of the 12 tribes of Israel that make up the 144,000. And I don't have that here. I think it's the latter verses here after chapter 7, verse 5 on it might be. But it's not the Gentiles, as some say. It's not church folk, saved folk, church folk, or any other entity. It's very specific in the Bible. It's 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes.
Right.
Now, spiritually speaking, I don't know how you do that. So it is that. And these are witnesses of, or for what?
The Messiah. They witnessed the Messiah.
Yeah, these are gospel preachers.
Right. Yeah.
Amen.
These are going to be saved Jews. Now you can say, did they all of a sudden just get saved altogether? Or did God bring it about that 12,000 each tribe are going to get saved by this point, and here they go. And they're told what they're doing. I don't know. But all I know is, at least by this point, they're saved, they got the gospel, and they go witness.
Yeah.
Now again, why, this is from last lecture or two, why would they need, or why would God need 144,000 special Jewish envoy witnesses when there's all these church folk on the planet that know how to do this stuff? They're door knockers.
They're good.
Because we're not there.
Because we're not there, yeah.
He needs all these Jews because the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to be like confused. And
Yeah. Little Mormon guys on their bicycles. 7:1. I'll read 2, someone read 2. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth. So we're at Revelation 7:1, after these things, the 7 seals. Okay, sorry. And holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea,
saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. Verse 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
We'll read 8 in just a second. So, I've been through the book of Revelation, verse by verse, and taught on it a few times. That in no way makes me an expert on Revelation. And then there's prophecy, which I'm way behind on, probably the average pastor. But it's great to go through Revelation, and the best I can come up with is take it chronologically, unless it, except for where it sure does seem to be reviewing back on something or reviewing ahead.
Or
you're just saying,
taking a break.
okay, or a pause, where they just look at some things that are going on in heaven. So, and it moves along. Here we are in Revelation 8, proceeding along. We're just finished 7. So we're proceeding along. We haven't heard yet about the abomination. 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 Desolation. It's the midpoint of tribulation, where the Antichrist says, I am God and you will worship me, and everyone will be killed if they do not bow their knee, and number 666 comes into play big time. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. Didn't that already happen? Oh, yeah, we reviewed that. Okay. Okay. Now we have the 7 trumpets. So those 7 seals. Pretty sure that's the first half, probably the first half of the first half of the 7-year period. How horrible. 8:2. And I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. I'll read a few more. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. And they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees were burnt up. And all green grass was burnt up. And the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood. Someone read 2 verses.
And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon a third part of the rivers, and upon the fountain of waters.
And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood. And many men died of the waters, because they were made bitter. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe! Woe! Woe to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels which are yet to sound. Whoa, 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 whoa already, brother angel. Whoa, dude. Anything that stands out there that you just have to comment on? Yes.
Chernobyl is wormwood in Russian.
Oh.
Just as a little trivia.
Okay. How metaphorically accurate.
Yeah.
They've got a star named Wormwood out there in space. And it's one of these stars that they're concerned about.
Figures. What they named that?
That's why they named it Wormwood, I think. I don't know. Just so happens that this is one of these stars that seems to be ready to go.
Oh, man.
Alright, anybody else? Of course, you see here it's 1/3, not 1/3 of the sun is darkened all the time. It seems to be during the daytime for whatever part of the earth you're on, only 1/3 of that daytime will be light. Or I'm sorry, 1/3 of it won't be light. And at night, 1/3 of it won't be lit by the moon or the stars. That's why I take it, the explanation he gives there.
Oh, it does say blood in the sea. 1/3 of the sea became blood.
I wasn't talking about that, but okay. You have a comment on that?
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to see if anyone had a further explanation, then we'll move on to that. Okay, go ahead. 1/3 of the sea became blood?
Never mind.
Okay. All right, so 7 trumpets. Very, very interesting. But I would up the ante on interesting in this next part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least in my little... I don't really like sci-fi that much. This gets into the sci-fi world.
Oh, yeah.
They could...
Horror movie.
I don't care what, Alien, all these other sci-fi movies out there, sci-fi horror movies, they don't come close to this thing.
Locust Devils.
All right, we'll do this and have a nice time just to sit back and relax and eat. We'll break after this one to finish. So here we go, locust devils. Were these actual locusts that we're going to be talking about? So I want you to start thinking when we read. Were these devils that appeared like locust creatures but were really large, like horses, and with all these other attributes that we're going to go into here? Well, I believe this latter part, yeah. Some say this is what's describing helicopters. And there's some things in there that make you think that, because I used to think that, because I said, this is just...
Hair of women, teeth of lions?
Well, back in Vietnam War, they had their helicopters with teeth on the side. They didn't have hair.
Do what that.
I don't think they had hair, yeah. They made noise, and it kind of looks like a scorpion tail at the back end, and they could shoot. So there's some things that line up, and then there's some things, you know.
But then maybe they just read the book of Revelation and thought that would be cool to put on their helicopter.
Yeah, that could be true too. And also, there's a big section here. We'll get into another section that's on the two witnesses part, this next page. And it almost sounds like, and we can be thinking about that now, the blending of these two together, the 200 million, they call man army, it's not men, might be these locust creatures. I have yet to resolve this. Maybe you've got it all resolved. If you blend those two, it sounds like it could be the same, but then some parts don't sound the same. If they're two separate issues, wowie kazowie. 9-1. And the fifth angel sounded. So we could still be in the first half of the tribulation here, my friends. And I saw, at least that's my belief, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and unto him was given the key of the bottomless pit. What? And he opened the bottomless pit, and there rose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke a locust upon the earth. That's what it says. Alright. And unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, nor any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. Someone read this other verse.
And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. Keep going.
Yeah.
And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. Keep going.
No, we need to stop just for a moment here.
Okay.
So, the locust, it says locust, came out of the bottomless pit, which apparently is on Earth, in the middle of the Earth somewhere. I don't think it's some other part of the galaxy or another world system. Because hell's down there and bottomless pit seems to be there, but some argue it's a black hole and different things. But anyways, the smoke from it covers the Earth, so I would assume it's in the Earth. And it says locusts, and they don't eat grass and tree things. They go attack men. But we're going to learn some other things about these little guys. But not so little. How long are they going to torment man on this earth? At least those that don't have the seal of God, so they're the ones that have, the ones that have refused to bow the knee to Antichrist and all that, the whole system, who has a seal in their foreheads, they will not be hurt, but everyone else will be. 5 months. And the torment's like a scorpion. I've never been stung by a scorpion. I hear that you can die. I hear you can definitely get very sick. It's like a black widow. You just, very tight muscles in your stomach, so tight that it hurts, spasming, sweating, very high fevers, delirium. Sounds like a nice little trip. Well, let's learn about these locust dudes, okay? Locust devils, 7. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. Hold on now. A locust kind of, a grasshopper, as you look at these guys up close, maybe. But no, this doesn't sound like them. Horses on the battle, and on their heads were, as it were, crowns of like gold. Okay, that could still be could be a locust, man. This could be a locust. Now it's not going to be a locust on this one because their faces are as the faces of men. But that's kind of look like my grandfather. Okay, there's no way. So these are not just locust insects. These are other type of entity, either as a weird breed of locusts. They've been in the bottomless pit just waiting and chewing on dirt. I don't know what they were doing down there. Or these are devils that appear as locusts. Okay, well, you think about it. And they had hair as the hair of women. These are male creatures. and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. Lovely. So if they are likened to horses, I assume they're about that big. Not these little things. Looks like a little tiny horse. You're good.
With armor.
With armor and crowns of gold.
Yeah.
And teeth of lions. Lions' teeth are big.
Yeah.
You get little lion's teeth, they can't crush it. This isn't hard. It's not going to be that way. No. And they had breastplates, as it were, breastplates of iron. And the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. Yeah, it's helicopters. Someone do 10 and 11.
And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt in 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon.
Say it loud.
Abaddon.
Okay.
But in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Okay, Abaddon and Apollyon. Same guy. This is very interesting here now. There's a king over these locusts, and it's not an insect. It is a devil. How do you know? Well, it's an angel. And some might think, well, it's a holy angel who's in charge of the bottomless pit. I don't think so. No.
Fallen angel.
It's a fallen angel, and they were kept down there, and it gets complicated, so we'll just stop it there. But there's a king over these other devils, I would assume. Not a king, hey, I'm the king of all the insects! Ha-ha! And they have tails like scorpions, and there's stings in their tails, and that's where the power was at. And if they're the size of a horse flying around, and there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of these things, with these tails that go, you know how the scorpion tail is? I don't want to mess up my shoulder, but it goes, you watch them in slow motion, they just flip it forward and zap ya. Hey, there's a flying horse over there with a scorpion tail. One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. Yeah, that's whoa. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the 3rd part of men. The number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. That would be 200 million. Someone finished? 17 million?
And thus I saw the horses in a vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. And out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone.
Jacinth, okay, or Jacinth. One of those two, yeah. Okay, so here, this is the part, I'm sorry. This is the part where the blending is for me. So you have a 200 million entity army. Some say that's China. They've got a ready army of 200 million. And they got this kind of reddish, and it kind of sounds like that. Okay, great.
Chinese.
Yeah, but they can't do all that these guys can do. It's going to be pretty amazing. And so it goes on to 7. So this is where I get lost at. So 16, you see 200 million of them. That's 200,000. 200 million of these things. And we were just talking about these locust creatures. Locust devils. And now verse 17, and thus I saw the horses in the vision. So, remember, he was talking about them, they look like horses?
Mm-hmm.
But here 16 says the army of the horsemen. Is there 2 separate sets here? We got the locust horse creature with the scorpion tails, and teeth like lions, face like a man, and hair like a woman. Those, and then we've got 200 million of these other things. I'm thinking they're the same. The heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, though. Well, yeah, teeth like lion. And out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. So it's the same creature. These things can have fire and smoke and brimstone come out of their mouth. Their heads are like lions. Their face is like a man. You know, you put them together, that's amazing. If they're separate, that doubles the trouble. For sure. And we'll take a break in a moment. Someone get ready to read 20 and 21. 18. By these 3 was the 3rd part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth, and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt.
And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, and they should not worship devils, and idols of gold, and silver, and brass, and stone, and of wood, which neither can see, nor hear, nor walk. Neither repented they of their murderers, nor their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts.
All right, so we're going to take a break in just a second. So what do you think here? We got some more information that, they got tails, but they're like serpents. Is a scorpion a serpent? Plus these tails had heads on them. And those heads did things to them. Could be a whole separate entity here. 200 million of them. Anybody want to say something on that, or just say, yeah, it could be? I don't know.
The descriptions sound different.
Okay.
The descriptions sound different, and then going back to verse 17, where he talks about, he saw the horses in the vision, so there's the creatures, and them that sat on them. So that's kind of
so these
leads me to believe that now he's describing their riders.
Yeah.
So
The riders are horses.
So I've always kind of leaned towards, it's like riders on these creatures.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
No, that may fit. I'm just reviewing it right now. So just keep that in mind. We don't have to figure that all out, because we're not going through a tribulation unless you're not saved.
Praise the Lord.
And if you are going through a tribulation, you'll figure it out soon enough. Hey, they were right at that Bible college class I took. It's two separate entities. Take a break.